And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Thursday, March 15th. I'm your host again for today's program, Paul DeMain, and many of the stories we read here can be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com, and here are some of the news stories for the day. A panel of independent scientists have given generally good marks to the draft report prepared to help Interior Secretary Ken Salazar decide whether to go ahead with removing dams on the Klamath River to help salmon and resolve long-standing water conflicts in southern Oregon and northern California. But the peer review released earlier this week by the U.S. Department of Interior also notes a number of places where the draft report fails to fully explain the uncertainties inherent in making the decision. The draft report, released last January, said that based on the prevailing scientific evidence, removing the 4 aging hydroelectric dams and associated restoration efforts will help salmon and sustain irrigation for farmers in the region. The peer review notes that while that is a very reasonable conclusion, it remains uncertain just how much fish habitat and water quality would improve. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service says the permit it issued to the northern Arapaho tribe allowing it to harvest up to 2 eagles for religious purposes is the first of its kind ever granted to a Indian tribe. Matt Hogan is Assistant Regional Director for the federal agency in Denver. Hogan stated that the best of his agency's knowledge, the permit it issued last week for the Wyoming tribe is the first ever issued allowing a tribe to harvest bald eagles. The agency has issued previous permits allowing other tribes to kill golden eagles. The Northern Arapaho tribe filed a lawsuit last year seeking the permit, but Hogan says his agency granted it in response to an application that the tribe filed years ago. North Dakota's Secretary of State says backers of the University of North Dakota's Fighting Sioux nickname have enough petition signatures to put the issue on the ballot. Al Yeager says nickname supporters had about 1,500 signatures, more than they needed to have a June statewide vote on the nickname. The law says UND had to use the Fighting Sioux nickname and an American Indian head logo. The NCAA says the nickname and logo are demeaning to American Indians. The issue is also in front of the North Dakota Supreme Court. The State Board of Higher Education says the law is unconstitutional, and the board is suing Yeager in an attempt to block the June vote. The Supreme Court is hearing arguments on that issue probably today. It's like that Energizer bunny rabbit that never stops around. That issue has been around for years and just doesn't seem to want to go away. An annual report shows that Wyoming ranks about in the middle among states for revenue at its tribal casinos. The Indian Gaming Industry Report shows declining growth in revenue from Indian casinos. In 2008, revenue growth at Indian casinos nationwide was about 30%. That shrank to less than 10% in the year 2009. Wyoming Public Radio reports that in 2010, revenue growth at casinos was down by just over 1%. Wyoming ranks 15th in the latest numbers among the 29 states that have tribal gambling facilities. The Jenna Band of Choctaw have been working toward opening their own casino for more than a decade. Cheryl Smith, the tribal chief of the Jenna Band of Choctaw, tells the Town Talk plans for the casino are finalized and tribal leaders hope the casino will be open by the end of this year in the Creola community in South Grant Parish. Smith said the tribe secured all of its federal approvals and signed loan documents recently, allowing the tribe to move forward with its plans. Julie Wilkerson, an attorney for the tribe, said the Jenna Band of Choctaw would build a Class 2 casino on a piece of land off of U.S. Highway 167. She said construction is expected to begin on that next week. A Class 2 casino can have poker tables and gaming machines, but not gambling tables such as roulette or blackjack that are featured as Class 3 gaming in casinos in Marksville and Kinder as well. A member of the Mohawk Nation is seeking official recognition for fellow Mohawk members who served as code talkers during World War II. Jeffrey Whelan of the St. Regis Mohawk in northern New York is working on a project to have the code talkers recognized by Congress and awarded a special medal for their wartime service. Whelan says, tells the Malone Telegram that he's compiling a list of all Mohawk veterans of World War II, including radio men who communicated in their native language to confuse the enemy. Whelan, a Vietnam veteran, says Mohawk code talkers were part of General George Patton's Third Army as it fought its way across North America and Europe. Most of the World War II code talkers were Navajo, as known by history, but members of many other tribes, including the Sac and Fox, Ojibwe, Ho-Chunk, and Lakota, also served in that capacity as code talkers to confuse the enemy. And that is another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update, and we want to thank you for joining with us, and come back again soon. Miigwech.